How do I start this shit? It's been a month.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to Cracking the Codex for Codex Dark Angels.
This is our first update one because there's been enough of a change to it.
Yeah.
The core detachment has changed.
The scope of the detachment has changed. I want some air horns. Hi, welcome to Cracking the Codex for Dark Angels. This is a redux. We're back talking about the Inner Circle Task Force. Why are we doing that? Because one of us here is on a Dark Angels kick. They're back, they're better, they're actually genuinely good. It's exciting stuff. How are you feeling about Dark Angels at the moment?
Well, I like that there's some choice now. Like, I don't feel like I have to just go, right, if I want to play Dark Angels, I'm playing a vanilla detachment, and that's all I've got. So now
you didn't enjoy Azrael, Ironstorm, Dark Angels. What's wrong with you?
I like using the other stuff. So it's very, very timely for me because I'd been playing Inner Circle Task Force in my local beginners intro league. So I'd handicapped myself and I had Inner Circle companions in that list. And people were like, God, this is awful. And I was like, just wait.
I said that to you.
You just wait. It's going to be fine. And now it's been taken to fourth place results at flipping GTs. It's great.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to hear more about the base changes and why Dark Angels are so exciting, obviously John's been doing a lot of Dark Angels content.
A link will pop up there.
And there'll be some in the description box as well. I'm not editing or uploading this. I'm just giving John more work.
I'll make it pop up there. It's fine.
Perfect. All right, so let's get into what you get. So first of all, you're a Space Marine player. That means you get Oath of Moment.
Yeah.
For those of you who've been somehow living in a box, that means that in your command phase, you pick one enemy unit. And until the start of your next command phase, all of your Space Marine units, Adeptus Astartes, get to reroll all of their hits against that. It's good. Are there any specific synergies, perhaps, in this detachment that you might like to see certain units have?
Maybe.
Inner Circle companions.
Yeah.
They've got lethal hits and sustained hits. As we've seen with CSM, anywhere that you can get full rerolls to hit is really valuable when you've got lethal hits or sustained hits.
Yeah.
So I like this way more for this detachment than I do for pretty much any other Space Marine detachment.
And the way that this detachment gets its special abilities, it will get to it, but it's Deathwing keyword. So someone like Azrael that gives sustained hits out. Nice.
It's very good. Very good. But that's enough talking about it. What do we get for the Unforgiven? How about you give us a run through on this one? Because you've been
right. So this is just explaining that you basically have to take Dark Angels to be in this detachment. So you can't then have any other keywords. So once you've picked them, that's your detachment.
So no Dante as a warlord.
I really wish that'd be lovely. I really cannot wait for them to return to Codex Angels of Death. Until that day, I'm going to be upset, and I'm going to have two Space Marine armies then.
Old men shout at clouds.
Damn it. Right, so this is the big one. So the keyword Deathwing. So the following units that are Adeptus Astartes gain the Deathwing keyword if they are from a Dark Angels chapter. So that's Terminator units, so that's characters, and the units that Deathwing terminate. So Deathwing Terminators already have it, but if you were to take Assault Terminators, they then gain it. You get Blade Guard Ancient, Blade Guard Veteran Squad, Stern Guard Veteran Squad, Vanguard Veteran Squad with jump packs, and then finally you get some vehicles. So Land Raiders, so the Raider, Crusader, Redeemer, the Repulsor Executioner do as well, and all Dreadnoughts do. There is a slight downside to that the Deathwing ability that we get for this detachment centers around Deathwing infantry. So it's cool that the vehicles and the Dreadnoughts get it, but I'm not sure what point there is to that other than I don't think it really comes up, but it's a shame.
Yeah.
Right, so the detachment itself, the Inner Circle Task Force, you basically have something where you get to allocate your vowed target. Previously, this was you selected one in your command phase, and that was your vowed objective. Now, you have two states you can have. So you can go into a defensive footing, which is you select one objective marker you control, until the end of your next movement phase, that marker is your vowed objective marker. This triggers a lot of the abilities, synergies with the stratagems, and specifically that you get anything that's Deathwing infantry gets +1 to wound against a target on there. Or you can go for the aggressive push. This is select one or more objective markers that you do not control. Until the start of your next movement phase, each of those markers are your vowed objective marker and count as being your vowed objective marker for the purposes of any rules. This one's really spicy because obviously if you're, say, early game, you're on your home objective and that's it, you just go, they're all vowed apart from my home objective. Or you don't start on your home objective and you just go, everything's vowed. Hello.
That's probably the way to do it, just in case you need it.
And specifically, it's you target stuff on the objective. So encourages a lot of good shooting, perhaps, or fighting on objectives.
Almost like that's the way the game is played. So perfect buffs.
Fighting over circles.
Oh, yes.
Should we get to some enhancements then?
Absolutely. You've taken the reins in the last few, so I'm going to go through
Go
some
for
of
it.
these. First of all, we got Champion of the Deathwing, 15 points. Melee weapons equipped by the bearer, who has to be Deathwing, have lethal hits. And each time they make a melee attack, if it's in range of your vowed objective marker, a crit hit is scored on a 5+. Now, I remember last time we talked about this, neither of us were particularly wowed, because it's for the model instead of the unit. That's still how I feel about it. Have you changed your mind at all?
Yeah. No, because it is essentially Terminator, Captain, Librarian, Chaplain, or Terminator Ancient. And yeah, sure. But I don't think that's where the strength of the army is relying on those characters being buffed, unfortunately. But
yeah, no, I agree. Next up. Singular Will. Deathwing model only. Each time the bearer's unit piles in or consolidates, model in that unit can move an additional 3 inches. Now that I am excited about.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got models with movement 5. So if you can pile in and consolidate 6 inches, that is a big upgrade to their movement.
Yes.
Huge fan of
It's in every list I write.
Even the Gladius ones, somehow.
Yeah, I just keep putting it in there and then people tell me, no, I'm not allowed. Who knew?
Shame. Other things that you're not allowed to have, purely because of the points cost. Deathwing Assault. You put this on a Deathwing model with Deep Strike. The bearer's unit can be set up using the Deep Strike ability in the first, second, or third movement phase. So not just your second and third. This is a big upgrade, but it's also quite hefty on the points cost.
And the frustration for me in practice is turn 2. If I'm going second, I would love to rapid ingress.
Yes.
I was just earlier, about to say, I think can't.
If you could rapid ingress turn 1, I'd pay 30 points for this. Yeah. But no, it's unfortunate. But it's still solid. I don't think you're wrong for putting it in. It's just a little pricey than I'd like.
And it's often quite hard to justify having 30 points spent on it when it feels almost like a nicety, perhaps.
Yeah. That said, these effects are the sort of better players you play against, the more this sort of effect is valuable. Because opponents who are good understand that you have it, and not using it and having a unit that can just sort of get where your opponent doesn't want it to be means they have to deploy differently. They have to... It really warps how the game's played, and the longer you hold it back, the better. But just having that threat on turn 1, so your opponent has to play sort of defensive from turn 1, can be good. Or they can be playing something with lots of sort of spread, and they can just screen out the board without any issue. And
there is a really nice stratagem that synergizes very well with it as well.
There might be.
Which we can touch on in a second.
Absolutely. We have also got, enhancement-wise... 10 points higher than unseen. Each time you target the bearer's unit with a stratagem, roll a d6, add 1 to the bearer. If the add 1 to the roll, if it's within range of the vowed objective, on a 5+, you gain a CP. I didn't like this before. Here's the thing: I kind of like it now, because now you can use all of your strats for reduced cost with a captain. So maybe you put this on a captain, and you just go, "I'm probably going to use a free strat and maybe get a CP back." I don't hate that for 10 points. I'm not budgeting to put it in, but I think
if you've built a list that isn't taking Azrael...
Oh, yeah, there's the problem.
you slip in the 10 points. But otherwise, for 105 points, why wouldn't you take Azrael?
Yeah. No, you got me there.
Got him. Right, so same old, Armor Contempt. So this is in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase. Worse than the AP by 1. Nice and solid.
Right. Yeah, perfect.
And then we've got Unmatched Fortitude, which is in your opponent's shooting phase, just after they've selected a target.
Yep.
You select the target is a Deathwing infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets that unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughness of your toughness characteristic, -1 to the wound roll.
I really like that. That's mini transhuman on a stick. It's good.
It's very handy, very handy. And then we've got Martial Mastery, which is fight phase, 1 Deathwing infantry unit from your army that's not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can reroll a wound roll of 1. If they are within range of one of your vowed objectives, you can reroll the wound roll instead.
There we go. So, that's where it gets good.
Yeah, and that used to be cool, but you could play around it when it was just 1 objective. If you've now got the option of 3 objectives, 4 objectives, suddenly your opponent cannot pick and choose where they get to be engaged with.
Yeah, I think let's not go too deep into the unit changes, because you do talk about them in your solo stuff that people should go and check out. But the big one here, Deathwing Knights, anti-vehicle, anti-monster 4+ on their attacks. Rerolling the wounds. 75% of your attacks are going through. That is dirty. That is real pain.
Yes. Because obviously they only trigger the anti on the unmodified 4s. So if you're having to kind of do the fishing, it's the only way you can really justify it.
Yeah.
It could be quite a struggle otherwise. Right. Next one is Duty Until Death. So I can remember this from the first time round. So for 1 CP, it's fight phase, just after your enemy has selected a target unit. That Deathwing unit from your army. So Deathwing unit, so this doesn't have to be infantry, but I don't think you'd use it on a vehicle. It's basically until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit is destroyed, if they've not fought this phase, roll a d6, adding 1 if you're within range of a vowed objective. On a 4-up, do not remove the model from play. After the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, it can then fight. So it's a mini fight on death.
I don't love those. I know it's a better version of it, so you're realistically getting it off on a 3.
Yeah.
But I feel like the low quantity of models you've got, the amount of attacks that you're going to be making back is not really where I want to be. You're going to use it because it's a good tool to deal with enemy melee units. And the threat of it, I think, again, having it is maybe better than actually using it. But you're going to whiff sometimes. It's going to feel really bad.
Yeah. There'll be a game where you roll every 3 up, and then there'll be equally another game where you will not roll any, or you'll roll 1 and it won't matter. So that's just sometimes how it is, though. So, right, the spicy one, though, is Relic Teleportarium. So this is in your movement phase. 1 Deathwing unit from your army that is arriving using the Deep Strike ability. So all those pesky Terminator units that have got Deathwing keyword. You can set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 horizontally away from all enemy models. So you know that turn 1 Deep Strike you can do, Ed?
Yep.
If they haven't done a really, really sharp bit of screening, you can just go blob behind enemy lines. I don't know if you want to, but you can. I have done it just to prove the point in a game that I was going to lose because I was playing this. But yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, I think it's, again, the threat of it is almost stronger than the ability. So if you've got a unit that can come in and it's only 6 40mm bases because it's a character and some Deathwing Knights because they're quite good now, that's a real threat that people have to be cognizant of and they have to respect and screen out. And sometimes when you tell your opponent, I've got a 3-inch deep strike, they just go, all right, I'm not screening at all.
You either can do it or you spend so long trying to make it work that you end up making mistakes.
Yeah. So I really like that sort of effect.
Yeah. I think you end up using it sort of turn 3 as a secondary wave where they've kind of been peeled off of an objective, but they're not quite giving you the space to jump onto a point. Because obviously you can't charge as a result. So if you're dropping down, you need to be somewhere relatively safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Gets you closer to those vowed objectives as well.
Yeah, man. Perfect. And then the last one is Wrath of the Lion. Your charge phase, 1 Deathwing infantry unit from your army that has just ended a charge move. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of that unit and roll a d6 for each model in your unit, adding 1 if the result... adding 1 to the result if the enemy unit is within range of an objective that is vowed. For each 4-up, they suffer 1 mortal wound to a maximum of 3.
Mortal wounds on the charge. Can't argue with it.
I think if you've got some spare CP and you're
Yeah.
not going to use it for much else, why not?
It's key to Deathwing units only, right?
Yeah, Deathwing infantry.
Are there any? How many Deathwing infantry can you run that have grenades and also have this?
Anything that's led by a named character.
Yeah, today all the named characters that aren't in Terminator armor typically have grenades.
Yes.
Yeah.
But say the units would be as well. So if you're, say, giving Hellblasters,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you said that. Because Hellblasters aren't going to kill that much in combat, but if you can do grenades and this strat, that chips away at something that's a bit more beefy. I like it.
Yep.
It's a 2 CP investment, but having that in the back pocket is quite nice.
Yeah. It's something for when things are going wrong, or if someone's trying to disrespect. So say, something I've been using quite recently is 5 normal intercessors with Azrael.
Yeah.
If someone comes and tries to take your home objective that they're sat camped on, and then you move forward towards them, throw a grenade at them, and then do this, so that little unit of like flimsy melee is in trouble. It's not what they expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So here's a list. For a change, Ed didn't write 90% of this list. Who knew?
Go on then. How about you give us a run through?
I can write lists, guys. Right, so here we go. This is the list. Azrael's the Warlord, as he should be. He is leading a squad of 10 Hellblasters. So he's giving them that lovely sustained hits 1, 4 up in Bun, and both of them are in combat and in shooting, so very survivable. As a result of him being Deathwing keyword, he gives them the Deathwing keyword. So they're getting +1 to wound if they're shooting stuff that's on a vowed objective. Very spicy. Then we got a Librarian with 6 Inner Circle companions. So when Inner Circle companions are led by a character, they are -1 to hit, and that is nice. But the Librarian gives them a 4 up invuln and a 4 up feel no pain against psychic attacks. So the psychic attacks less useful, but
I looked at this and I went, "Why don't you have Judicious in there?" He's like, "Yeah, but the Librarians give a 4 up feel, 4 up board save, invuln."
All right. Yeah. And then 1 unit's in an impulsor. So that's one to push forward a bit more aggressively. Then there is a second unit without the impulsor, because obviously...
Well, once one unit's got out the impulsor, just get the next one in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like buses.
Yeah.
Then we've got a squad of intercessors, because they sticky objectives, and some of the mission play centers around things like battle line. And then 2 units of jump pack intercessors, because they are great little action doers, go and do stuff, and they've got some nice ability to splatter some more wins on impact. So them and the intercessors don't gain Deathwing, but I still think you get the value out of them being in the list.
Yeah.
And then we got a captain in Terminator armor leading 5 Deathwing Knights. I had debated putting the Deathwing Assault on this unit, but it's a lot of points, just something that then was the difference between that or getting a 3rd scout squad. So as much as it's nice, it's often one of the things I find disappears. This would be the unit that I would drop down, maybe even using their Teleporter Homer to get a rapid ingress for free.
Yeah.
Because you can use that in addition, because it's listed as a free stratagem with the changes to the balance data in the Balance Dataslate. And then we got the Ancient in Terminator armor with Singular Will, which is the extra 3 inches to their Consolidate and Parlins, leading 5 Deathwing Knights. So rapid ingress them in, charge them onto an objective or near an objective, and someone's like, "Oh, I've put them far enough away that, yes, you've killed them here, but then you won't be able to pile onto the objective fully." No, it's not happening. Spicy. And then 3 squads of scouts, because you want something to be forward deploying, you want to be a pain, and also their whole kind of uppy downiness. Yes, it's on the outsides, but some of the new missions are about being on board edges. You just need to be wholly within 9 inches of a board edge. I like that. I'm scouts. Turn 5, if you get that, you're like, "Oh, cool, I'm in your back line now. Cool, scoring that. Thanks. That's 3 points. Cheers." And that's a list.
That is a list indeed. I like it.
It feels... I was looking at the list we did in the first version of this show, and I don't think either of us have really locked with how it was to work.
Well, it didn't work, I think,
because it didn't. We were trying to make it work, but we were trying so hard to make it work that there wasn't enough mission play in it still. I think that's the important thing, is sometimes you get these lovely detachments and you still have to include the good stuff. You can't just not include mission play. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, cool, I get +1 to wound against you on objectives, but I also can't score my cards. I'm still going to lose.
Yeah, that's not a great combination, is it?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Ed? What would you want to sneak into the list, do you think?
I'd love to see a transport for the Hellblasters somehow.
Yes. So a popular choice there is to put them in a repulsor.
Yeah.
I just find repulsors are still quite chunky, even with a cheap pivot now.
I don't know if I'm just biased against them from 9th edition, because they were pretty underwhelming in 9th edition, but I just can't get behind a repulsor. I don't know why. Maybe because it's just a fiddly model to use. There's a lot of profiles in there, and I don't feel like it does much other than be a transport.
It's got a couple of las cannon shots, and at that point,
and then nothing else in the list is bringing them, so I don't love that. You probably wouldn't put this in a drop pod.
You can't.
Oh, can you not? Is it still 10 transport?
Yep.
Oh, I thought they fixed those. The impulse has been fixed.
Yeah, they've fixed all the useful stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the Hellblaster squad's a pretty good foot slugger, given the fact that it has a 4-up ward. So
yeah, giving Azrael, having Azrael with them means you can be a bit more kind of bullish with them. I think if you didn't, like I have tried it without that, where I just gave them a lieutenant, and the minute they get shot at, they're gone.
Yeah,
and people do play around them and go, right, I'm going to be 25 inches away, so yeah, you can shoot on death if you want.
I did that to you earlier in the edition.
The first tournament I went to.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Great stuff. All right, perfect. Well, thank you for watching. Apologies, we've been a little lax on the uploads of Cracking the Codex. I'm fully going to just drop you in it. You might think it's because I've moved over to Old World mostly. It's not me at all. John's been covering Age of Sigmar in another country and has been a very, very busy boy. But he has found the time to pump out plenty of solo content. So don't feel at all like I've been ignored.
No. We've both been busy, but it was mainly led by me. But it's fine. Yeah. But it does mean we've got some exciting stuff coming up.
It absolutely does. We know what we want to look at for next week, but do give us a shout if there's anything that you're super interested in. We can put it onto the list for either next week or, coming down the line there as well. Looking forward to getting back into a regular scheme of talking about new and interesting things with Crack the Codex. See you next time.